the fear of abandonment, clinging or pushing others away. You say, no, I'm too reserved. I don't want anybody around me. Nah, it's fear. The greatest discovery of life is self. If you're so confident, if you know yourself so well, there won't be any problem bringing people around you. You will see people as a bridge towards even becoming better because, of course, we all know that our network is our net worth. You cannot just stay alone. No man is an island. But if you check what they've been through, and because they're dealing with childhood trauma, it's so difficult to relate. They have trust issues. They've been betrayed from small, and so now used to it. What do you want to do to me again? I survived this thing from when I was 5 years old. I've been betrayed, and now that I am 40, you want to now come and tell me what? They always have trust issues. They don't want to know people because they feel that at the end of the day it's going to be betrayal, emotional instability. They have difficulty expressing or managing feelings because they just don't know how you will see it. They understand that they will be judged. They have been let down a couple of times. It's a repetition of pain, choosing familiar but harmful partners. Sorry to the lady who spoke first. She really got me emotional, going through such heartbreak of two engagements and all of that. That is some trauma right there. And that pain, I just hope that it doesn't repeat. You just find a way to, rediscover yourself, pick yourself back up, tell yourself every day you're beautiful in and out, and that your past doesn't define you, and you'll be just fine. Intimacy struggles. I've said it. Closeness feels unsafe. Low self-worth. No, I'm not enough. Why do they want me to be part of that group? No. Mr. Gideon looks better. Mr. Lagbaja is the one they should pick. Mrs. Jessica is beautiful. No, it's not me, They just believe that they cannot be accepted. And I saw this quote and I thought I should put it out there. That familiar pain can feel safer than unfamiliar peace. Because that's what they know. You're supposed to say, the devil I know is better than the angel that I do not know and all of that. Now they've imbibed pain into their life. I'm going to check. It's all childhood trauma. Let's move on. And this is what I'm trying to say, that it affects adult relationships. And it has a circle. Without awareness, early wounds replay in adult relationships. It's pain to defense, to conflict, to isolation, and back to that same pain. So that circle doesn't end. And that's why we should keep creating this awareness of childhood trauma and let our kids speak up. And when you see a child who is just quiet when he shouldn't be, you talk to them. And when a child is trying to express themselves, particularly in Africa, you keep quiet. You talk too much. Go inside. Some of us grew up in societies where when visitors come, you have to run in. It's eyes your parents used to look at you. You know that you have to run inside. And that conversation isn't for you. We need to let them understand that they are accepted. If they need to go away, you need to explain to them. When they need to speak, all we need to do is listen because we're shaping their future. And that's why it is very, very important. And I want to thank OTVI for putting this together on World Trauma Day. Let's keep creating that awareness that we must keep accepting kids for who they are, because at that stage, they are vulnerable. They want to learn. Anything we do to them at that stage, let's just know that we're building childhood trauma that we will eventually suffer if we don't take care of it. And as I said, this cycle continues until awareness. Shout out to ATVI for the awareness and healing intervene. And that's where Hauwa comes in and all of the mental health professionals that we have. Let's find a way to put healing out there to make this world a better place. Pathways to healings. Now, remember that what pain does to them is the acceptance, and then they just think that, oh, they are surviving, not living. That's the journey. So what can we now do to help this connection? Awareness. We cannot stop talking about it. And that's why when Father reached out to me that I should get a colleague, and I'm like, oh, Father, just in case they are not available, I can do this. Because this is my 10% to creating awareness. And that's what the media does. We are watchdog to the society. And we have three major functions: to inform, to educate, and entertain. And out of those three functions, I think education is the biggest. Because the day we stop learning, we start to die. So we must continue this awareness. It's very, very important. Recognize trauma responses as survival tools. Talk about it. I understand confidentiality sometimes. For instance, I just talked about the guy from Sokoto. I didn't give details, but you need to talk about it so that persons can learn from it. These responses will help. It's just all, it's research. We're drawing samples, real life experiences. It can just touch someone. If Father Stephen didn't come out to the church to tell his story, I won't know him. Same, I won't run an interview with him. I won't be here today. Therapy. We can't talk enough about therapy, but particularly trauma-informed methods. Therapy is something that we need to normalize in Africa. I like the Catholic Church. I keep telling my dad, if there's one thing that will make me leave the Catholic Church, it is confession. Whatever I can say to a Reverend Father, and then he prays for me, I have peace. So if I can tell the Reverend Father and he gives me penance, then I can tell my spouse, I can tell my mom, I can tell my dad. Because now I've gotten healing. I've not been judged. Those persons coming with childhood trauma all their lives, they've been judged, they've been betrayed. So they don't talk to anybody. And that's why trauma is a terrible thing, because you can't even talk to them. Where do you want to get therapy? Some of them are just waiting to die. They've lost all hope. Because as I said, they've been fighting these things since maybe 5. What do you now want to tell them? Now, if you turn it around to a child that grew up in a proper environment, let's take my beat, for instance, a footballer, Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, they've been playing football since 6, 7. Look at how families shaped their lives. And at 40, Cristiano Ronaldo is still in the conversation. If his mom had said, no, come play ball, go inside, leave it, go to school, you're a stupid child, we won't talk about him today. He won't be a legend. It won't inspire lives. So therapy, we must continue, particularly in the family. Very, very important. We need to always help people heal, support systems, build safe, trusting connections. Now move away from that survival to connection. Oh, stop saying that you cannot be part of a group. Find something you can do in that group. Sometimes just even go and listen. I got into broadcasting because I found out that I was a fantastic listener. Everyone just wanted to talk. No one was listening. So I built my active listening skills. And that's what helps me today when I interview people. I just listen to you so I can connect with you, understand your story, and help you tell it better. So those persons must learn how to build self-trusting connections, because the greatest discovery of life, as I've said earlier, is self-compassion. Replace that shame with kindness. Be kind to yourself. Just start with yourself. From yourself to the next person, to the next person, and to that person, till you meet somebody who is still dealing with what you were dealing with your terrible trauma that brought shame, and then you find a way to help them. Isn't that how we'll make this world a better place? Boundaries. I understand that we must have boundaries in life, but let's be sincere, sometimes people are very extreme with it. You must learn how to balance closeness and independence. It's very, very important. And that's something we should teach our kids. That's something we should put out there, particularly safeguardians, parents, teachers, the church. We must find a way to let them understand boundaries so that at the end of the day, they are not left alone in the world. Healthy relationships, very, very important. What was wounded in relationship can often be healed in another relationship. So you cannot just say, oh, I'm alone. No, I'm not going to relate with anyone. No, 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 no. What was wounded in relationship can also be healed in a relationship. Very, very important. Bottom line, you cannot just be alone. You need to come out. You need to speak up. You need to find a way to adjust yourself. Adjust yourself. If there's anything you want to remember from this conversation today on World Trauma Day, that the greatest discovery of life is self. Healthy relationship teach safety and trust, open communication, emotional regulation, acceptance and respect. Connection is part of the cure. The power of understanding. You see, if we can just all talk, understanding is powerful. When I was growing up, I was reading so much about understanding that I found out sometimes that knowledge is useless without understanding. That's why I see as Christians, sometimes we pray, we say, God, grant me knowledge and understanding. The power of understanding. Trauma awareness helps us see others with empathy. Empathy, that's what is missing in our world today. Put the other person in your shoes. Go. Particularly in Nigeria, the way we stigmatize people, they have a condition. So you to help them, they don't want to relate to them, and then you're just worsening their trauma. As I said in the beginning, not all pain is visible. Behavior often has a story behind it. So this child has behaved some way. Are you just going to throw him away? Are you just going to chase her away? Are you just going to let her feel useless, stupid because of that behavior? Bring her close. Try and understand why she did what she did. Love her. Empathize with her. And then she might just open up. And that's where healing starts. We're just going to say, no, is it not that person? No, don't bring that, don't bring him near me. No, let them go, let them. No, come on, guys. Make this world a better place. Not all pain is visible. They are dealing with something. Something happened. That's why that child is behaving that way. Listen to that story. Compassion and patience can transform relationships, both personal and professional. We need to know that. Childhood trauma is not a life sentence. I don't care what you've been through in your past. It doesn't define you. It's not a life sentence. You can overcome it today. You can turn it into a beautiful story. I am the convener of the power of sports to transform lives. While everyone is reporting what that able-bodied guy is doing, that able-bodied female athlete is doing, I chose to stay with the special athletes. I used to use my money to go to the Paralympics. Just because when you're around those people, you will be motivated. And most of them, if you check their situation, it all started from childhood trauma. I told the story of Hannah Babalola in 2015. She's confined to a wheelchair. She's paralyzed from her waist to her leg. She's a world champion in wheelchair racing. She told me how she just went to the toilet to pee, and then she tried to get up. She couldn't. And she yelled. And that was it. From that day, she couldn't walk again. But it wasn't a life sentence. She's the world champion today. She was at the last Olympics in Paris. She lives in the United States of America with a beautiful daughter. It's not a life sentence. She helped herself. She picked herself back up. Healing rewires the brain and restores connection. And today she's a big advocate, also empowering other young girls and boys who are in a kind of situation just to help them get better. I don't know if you guys know Folashade Oluwafemiayo. She's a world champion. Just yesterday in Cairo, Egypt, she lifted. She imagine someone who weighs 86 kg, confined to a wheelchair, paralyzed from her waist down, but she can lift 186 kg. Even me with my weight, I don't think I can lift 90. Fantastic story. So she broke the world record that she created at the Paris Paralympics. And I keep telling them, come out, tell this story. She told me how she will stay at the bus stop in Nigeria. Abuja be looking at her, wheelchair. Everywhere you get into the buses, how do you even carry someone in a wheelchair when there's no accessibility? You keep reminding them of that childhood trauma. So the government, civil organization, we have a lot of work to do to help to defeat childhood trauma. And that's why I'm saying with support, people can love deeply, trust deeply, and thrive again. The past can explain you, but it should never define you. Nah. Say, oh, I used to be this, but now I am this. Let that trauma be your stepping stone towards something better in life. Very, very important. Guys, don't forget. The past can explain you, but it does not define you. So these are my vital points when I was putting this together. That childhood trauma affects how we connect as adults. It is a fact. It is a given. You cannot take that away. You always remember, particularly when you keep seeing those elements that caused that trauma, you cannot forget. I still have an auntie that each time I see her, I just think that she can still shout, tell me to go away. even at this age, you know, it affects how we connect people as adults, but we must overcome it. And what's the first step? Awareness is the first step towards healing. Shout out again to OTVI. Shout out again to our mental health person. Shout out to the teachers at Sapphire Stones College in Meron. I can see that you guys are doing a great job with these kids. We love and appreciate you. And this is a good way of creating awareness and letting them feel loved and accepted. Therapy, support, and compassion will definitely rebuild safety. Healing is not about forgetting. That's what people just want to forget. No, you're not going to forget it. Don't forget. You can never forget that trauma. It's about reclaiming your power. That this is who you are. That your past can explain you, but it should never ever define you.
So let me take one more question from the students so Austin Okon can continue with his presentation. One more student, please. You have the mic now. Thank you.
My question is, can someone who has passed through trauma, can he also be ignorant of psychological trauma?
All right. Thank you. Your question is valid. We will answer that. We have Hauwa in the house. We also have some psychologists on the background, so any of them can pick up on your question. But at the moment, I think, Austin Okon, you have the mic, so you can conclude on your presentation before we come back to whoever is going to answer these questions.
I was on that vital point, and that I said that healing is not about forgetting. That people struggle with healing because they think they can forget. They want to forget it. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about understanding yourself once again. It's about getting up from that trauma and saying, look, your destiny is yours to shape. I'm big on call to actions. We have to be more empathetic. I should have put more there. Be more empathetic. Every behavior has a backstory. Nobody will just get up and behave rash or behave in a way that will, get you angered. There is a backstory. I think that's what empathy should do, just say, if it's me, if I behave this way and someone responds the way I did to this person, to me, how am I going to feel? Empathy is what we should keep selling in our schools. We are there with kids, tolerate them. I know sometimes they can be overbearing. I know sometimes they can push us, but just be empathetic, help them, protect their future, make them feel loved, accepted, encourage trauma-informed care in schools, workplaces, and I have to say it, most importantly, before I wrote the church, I said, no, the family. That's where the church starts. I said, the family, people should be able to sit down, have people talk about their experiences. Everybody, this is like, girl child, protect the girl child. Oh, this is the boy child, don't call. And that's why you see boys grow up and then they become what they don't want to become because all their lives they've just been told to be strong. Why are you crying? Are you a girl? If your sister cries, you cry. That boy grows up, becomes a man. He's bottled up so many terrible traumas. Now, as a man, he still wants to talk. He's calm down, man up, be a man. What's wrong with you? Just let him speak. You also see a lot of men getting into depression. You see a lot of men not, fulfilling potentials of being men because of what they've been through, and it's majorly childhood trauma. Seek help or offer it. Okay, I'm going through this. I don't want to talk to somebody. Let me go out there and look for somebody who's going through what I'm going through and see I can help them. Because no one will heal alone. You need to go talk to somebody. Break the silence. Talk about trauma. Reduce stigma. This is what we need to keep selling in Nigeria. Reduce stigma. Even somebody that is fat cannot live in society. Someone that is slim cannot live in society. Stigmatize almost everything. You are tall, problem. You are short, problem. How much more the person who is dealing with childhood trauma, who is dealing with disability? We have to kill stigmatism, build understanding. And you see, I had to put it in caps. Love and care. Don't just love. Some people think that oh, they just love, it's okay. No, care. Just care for the next person, Just be nice. And that's what we need to make this world a better place. In conclusion, childhood trauma is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of healing. Thank you for your compassion, your attention, and your willingness to understand. Thank you.
Please, let's give it up to Mr. Austin Okon. Thank you so much. I want to see us reacting to this wonderful presentation. He has done justice to this session. I wonder what is left of us to talk about. He gave us his analysis just like he does in the sports. Thank you so much, sir. I always love watching you give analysis. Maybe we need to check with our Super Eagles if there are issues of childhood trauma. But the
Of
Super
course,
Falcons have been giving
course.
us so much.
Of course,
They've
they
been giving
want
us
us to share
trophies.
childhood trauma.
So thank you so much. Would you want to respond to the student's question?
The one of the Chibok girls, yeah.
Yes.
Was that? Is it the 300 Chibok girls? Was that the question? That what happened to them?
Yes. What is their status? What's the situation at the
Definitely,
moment?
we know that some were freed or escaped because, of course, with what we see in the media and what we were told back in the day, definitely the Chibok girls and their kidnap story was definitely politicized. So some were freed, some escaped. I cannot verify the numbers that are still out there in captivity because, as a country, our biggest problem is with data analysis. And in this kind of situation, the media is also handicapped because it is what they tell the media that the media reports. So I cannot really verify the number of girls that are out there, but it's just a pathetic, story that the country that was supposed to protect those young girls let them down, And that's part of what we're saying, the awareness. If there was some level of education out there that, look, what you guys are doing. For instance, some of them came back as moms, girls, 15, 14, 13, they were already mothers by those terrorists. And any way you want to look at it, that was forceful, shouldn't be accepted in our society. So unfortunately, I cannot verify the number of the girls that are still out there. Definitely would have lost some of them. I listened to President Goodluck, former President Goodluck Jonathan last week, and he was saying that that's a trauma he will never heal from, because as president, that's a big, big blow on his administration. And that's why these days when he comes into the conversation, people are still thinking he can be president. We haven't healed from that trauma as a country. Kids that were supposed to, be taken care of, proper safeguarded, we let them down. And that's the one that we know. That's the one that we know. What about the ones we don't know about? For instance, when Father Stephen and the others were kidnapped, was it in the media? The Sokoto thousands of the Catholic Church can only just put out a statement. But those kind of things happen almost every now and then. Not just the North, because before we thought it was a northern problem. It has spread all across Nigeria because when you look at the statistics, it's a lucrative business. And government have found a way to politicize it. And then there is hunger on one part. There's illiteracy on another part. And I'll put all of that together. There's no way, that kidnapping will stop unless we decide to put proper mechanisms out there, monitoring mechanism, big up security. You go to some schools, you stay there for about 3 hours, 4 hours. It's just one baba that is gate man. That's all that is right there. Just one old guy who is frail, who is just maybe collecting small money. That's the person they are putting out there to look after kids. I think we need to do better. And I'm not saying you need to carry the entire army in Chibok to put in front of a school. Invest in technology. Because our leaders, they are so clueless and they don't just want to do what is right. They don't want simple technology. My street, before you walk into my house, about 5 cameras would have picked you, not the one I put in my house. So if you come and you pick anything, somebody knows where to go and check, and you will be fished out. I did not need to put 3 gate men. Technology. When you go to their houses, they have CCTV everywhere. But how much does it take? Even if you can't put in all the schools, 100 meters away from the school, put cameras in there, put proper things in place to, you see what I'm talking about, trauma? If we talking about these sort of things, it breaks you. So we have kids here. Let's not make them feel traumatized also. Let's make them feel loved and let them know that we're here to safeguard them and make their world a better place.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Austin Okon Akman, for your wonderful insight and analysis. Right about time for us to check with Dr. Austin Okeke. Dr. Austin Okeke, I would like you to make all of this make more sense. This so far so good has made wonderful sense to us, and we appreciate you. We appreciate you, Evaurhere, for your session. We appreciate you. Thank you so much, Hauwa Abbas, and thank you, Austin Okon. You made mention that trauma affects developmental brain, and I have had this question over and over. Thank God we have Dr. Austin Okeke, the medical director for Armstrong Hospital Lagos, to help me make this clear. Is trauma or are trauma issues genetic concerns? These questions have been put out severally. So please make it make sense to us. And then what is your thoughts? What are your thoughts in general with what we have discussed all over with regards to the theme of the day? Please, you have the mic, Dr. Austin.
I'm Dr. Austin Oseke, and I'm a family physician, the medical director, Armstrong Hospital. I want to thank you especially for making me part of this program, the OTVI, through Rotarian, as past assistant governor, Rotarian Ben Okumali. Yeah, when we talk of trauma, it's really a very, very, very wide topic. And sometimes you may find it difficult to define where it starts or where it stops. Because while in this presentation and hearing all the speakers speak and reflecting on my past experiences in life, and as a medical expert, I think trauma dates back to the time of delivery. I don't know if we'll agree to this. When we are still in the womb of our parents, when a child is still in the womb, the pregnancy itself has its risk. We know a child a young girl who is pregnant, a woman who is pregnant, when you look at them, you feel like they go through a lot of emotional challenges and they could be prone to various kinds of trauma. Okay, and not to talk of the pains of delivery. And it's also important to know that the unborn child, the innocent child that is going through labor, that is being delivered into this world, has to go through trauma. Because when you see a newborn baby come out of the womb, come out of the mother, in fact, there is a process where the skull, the skull has to collapse on the brain, so as the head can come out. And that is why when it takes too long for them to navigate this passage, there could be damage to the brain, and this can be the basis for which they could start having experiences in life. You see a child who doesn't seem to be as bright as he should, you put a lot of blames on him. He's not attentive, he's not this, he's not that. But you don't know that this challenge has started right from when the child was being brought into this world. So having said that, as a medical expert, we see trauma in various dimensions. We have the physical traumas like injuries and all that. We also have the psychological trauma. We have the emotional trauma. You can give various definitions to trauma, but I see that in this presentation, in this program, we are dwelling more on the psychological aspect of trauma, which I think is quite very, very important. And all the contributions from the speakers have been well presented. So I wouldn't want to see myself repeating what has been said by the various presenters that I would like to thank so much for their wonderful presentation. But there is a take that, as I've been asked, to kind of give comments on various statements made about trauma. From the first presenter, we had the effect of trauma in the aspect of love. You know, when your loved one jilts you and all that, you know, the emotional feelings and all that, the disappointment, and a lot of people find it difficult to get out of it, okay? Now, the thing is that in life, sometimes we set ourselves up for these trauma situations to happen, or life itself set us up. Like I said, with a challenge when coming into this life, you already have some damage to the brain, some part of the brain have been affected, and it affects your ability to perform in this life, your level of intelligence, knowing how to define what is dangerous and what is not dangerous, you know, to behave as a reasonable child. You know, a lot of times, your brain has to be very, very, how do I say, very, very complete, because life itself is a bundle of trauma, whether we like it or not, is a bundle of trauma. Trauma come in anyway, anytime, anywhere, any moment. So your ability to deal with this traumatic situation is what really matters at this point. And I may say that those who have the capacity to deal with this trauma are the ones that actually have wonderful development in life, and they tend to be very, very successful in life. That's why it is very difficult for you to find a very successful person without a traumatic experience. There's a Yoruba adage that says, Adani loro agbára ló fi ń kọ́ni. He who inflicts pain on someone teaches that person strength and all that. But again, it is not encouraged that you inflict pain on anyone. So having said that, even though trauma is a painful experience, it makes us stronger. It makes us, you know, learn the hard way in life. And when you come out of it, you become very strong. And that's the reason why the speaker, Mr. Austin, mentioned that there are a lot of people who are willing to, who have a lot of stories to, questions to ask, but we don't have enough listeners. And that's part of the reason why he went into, you know, the aspect of listening to people who have traumatic experience and all that. If he has not had certain experiences in life, he would not be better positioned in that kind of situation as to address, you know, people in need of this trauma, because they say experience is the best teacher. So as it were, now, trauma, one thing it's that we need to know is that individuals vary. People are different when it comes to traumatic experience. And when you're going to address their situations, you need to come to their level. Like I found myself yesterday, you know, consulting with someone who out of past traumatic experience started developing problems with high blood sugar, hypertension. And how did she come about this? Each time she reflects on what happened in the past, she has this gush of adrenaline in her. She has this hormonal release, like stress hormone release, like cortisol and all that. And cortisol is very good at increasing one's blood sugar. Adrenaline will increase your BP, increase your heart rate. And when this continues, it can end up with heart problems. You can end up with diabetes. You can end up with hypertension and all that. Now, in addressing this situation concerning hypertension and diabetes, I had to go through her life history, which she was able to volunteer. At the end of the day, it boils down to the fact that she had panic disorder. And what led to the panic disorder was her experiences losing loved ones in life and people that she never expected she would lose, and losing them made life completely unbearable. And as a result of that, it got her to the point where she begins to think death will come at any point in time. And you see people committing suicide because they have lost hope and everything. So I would say this is an aspect of post-traumatic stress disorder. We've talked about people going through surgeries, injuries, accidents, and multiple, what do you call it now? Multiple surgeries to recover and all that. All these things, at the end of the day, have impact on the brain. So now, what I want us to take home in this presentation is, number one, we have various situations that are fraught with trauma. A lot of people are experiencing trauma, and it causes damages to the well-being, general well-being, either physically or mentally. Now, getting out of this situation matters a lot, and you need people that are certified to perform this, this responsibility. We have the counselors, we have the medical experts, we have the behavioral scientists, which in other words we call psychiatrists. It is important that you approach the experts, you know, relay your problem, your complaints to them. And it is very important that you are not judgmental. When someone comes with a particular challenge, cannot do this or has one issue or the other, it is important that you listen to the person's story and you pick it from there. And when you listen to their story and you pick it from there, you are able to like come from their own point of view and able to bring them out of it. Recently, I met a young lady who is more like 16-year-old, already into prostitution. And she is doing it in such a way that it's a life for her. But now, even though her parents are in the village, she is in the city. She was brought into the village under the pretext of giving her a job, only to find out that she ends up in prostitution and all that. She got her freedom, but she didn't stop the prostitution. I had to counsel her, tell her that this kind of situation is going to lead to traumatic situation in the future. So the earlier you are able to get out of this, save, get a good business, get a partner, marry, and move on with your life, you know, get educated. So these are some of the things that are required in situations where, you know, we want to deal with traumatic, we want to deal with this topic, traumatic problems. Now, I want to make some comments on some of the takes on our presenters, okay? Like traumatized, like I've mentioned earlier that traumatized people usually end strong if they're able to cope with the situation. So we need to encourage those who found themselves in situations of need to get out of the traumatic situation. We've talked about our government, the roles they have to play in terms of security. We've also talked about our individual roles, the little aspects we can do with common CCTV cameras and all that, so that we can monitor events of things and able to prevent situation, because prevention is key. In the world today, it is safer not to trust, because one of the speakers mentioned earlier that we need to trust that when you experience traumatic issues, when you experience traumatic issues, you know, you find it difficult to trust. I dare say that in the world of today, when you do not trust until whoever deserves that trust proves it, it is safer not to trust. And when counseling people, talking to people, about overcoming issues with trauma and they are not, trusting, you still have to encourage them, advise them to be wise and discreet in whatever they do. Okay. So now, sometimes, I mentioned earlier, sometimes we set ourselves up for this traumatic situation. In life, they say when you do not expect much, you do not get disappointed. And it happens in relationship situation. For instance, we know how our ladies are today. They have a lot of demands on their male counterpart in relationship because they think responsibilities have to go to them. And these other partners have learned not to be very, very honest because they know when they are honest in whatever they have, they are not going to be appreciated. So you see them lying and all that. So in order to avoid situations that will lead to traumatic experiences with relationship, love, and all that, it is very, very important that there is this personal development. Then, as much as possible, infatuation should be completely out of it. Sincerity of purpose should be entrenched. And there should be patience. Whoever you are dealing with, you should take time to relate with the person, understand the nature of the person, understand the person's background, and understand that, try to know what the person wants out of the relationship. And on your own side, it is important that you do not create this impression that you are dependent on the relationship. So as much as possible, if you are independent and you are not begging for sustenance and all that, whoever is dealing with you, sees you the way you are. And by so doing, you people are able to relate better and you can end up with the purpose of your relationship. And that way, the chances that, people being jilted and all those stuff, is quite limited and reduced. So I don't think I have much more to say, but if there are questions, I'll be glad to, contribute to that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Austin Oseke. Sorry for all the time I've been calling you Austin Okeke. It's an oversight. And we really appreciate it. Thank you for giving us the connection. Now we all know, at least we have a broader idea of how untreated trauma, unattended to, is well connected. And it can bring you back to becoming hospital bedridden and into the life of needles and drugs, what we don't want. Sometimes, just like you said, you need to check with the patient's history and know where exactly is the root cause of this problem. But because we have taken it too lightly, we've undermined the issue of psychological trauma as a country, as a nation, even as an individual, especially when it comes to men. We just feel you can continue being a man, bottle in every issue, and then you'll be fine. And then in Africans, just like Hauwa mentioned earlier, we don't even like to complain. We put out everything to God. And then we just want to, we don't want to relate to issues as they are. Instead of us to discuss our issues out, we complain about them. Talking about Hauwa, please, we have just one more question I would like us to address. We are quite behind schedule. Apologies for keeping, especially students of the Safir College. Apologies for keeping you this long, but it has been very interesting all along, just like I promised you earlier. But now you believe with me that you wouldn't want to miss any of our sessions again. For those who are just joining and those who wish to have this session is being recorded and we are going to share it back to you. It is also going to be on our website, www.otvi.org. Just give us within a few days. It's going to be uploaded and you will have this recorded. So you can go back and listen to Hauwa, listen to Evaurhere, and listen to Mr. Okon, listen to Dr. Oseke over and over again. So let's make this life better for all of us. I have just one question more. It has come up over and over again. I wish we have someone that will quickly answer this question for us. how do you know you are traumatized? How do you know you are actually suffering from a traumatic experience? So you can find help and seek help. If you can have this question answered within 2 minutes, I think it will do us much good so that we end this session. Father Stephen, I know you are there. You are just going to come up and give us a closing remark as soon as we have the answer to this question. Anybody can pick up the mic. I just don't want to keep calling Hauwa. But if you are here and you want to answer it, please turn on the mic and you have the stage.
Okay, I hope I can address it.
Please go ahead, doctor. Thank you.
Okay, now, how do you know you are traumatized? One of the major signs you're going to experience is flashbacks. Sometimes you are about your business, you are doing something you need to be focusing on. Then there's this flash into your head, into your mind of an experience that should have been forgotten long time ago. That could actually distract you from whatever you're doing and could cause another problem. So, and if you are constantly having nightmares, is an evidence that there's some level of traumatization that you have gone through and your body has not really recovered from it. So that's one way you will know that you've been traumatized. And another evidence, as some of our speakers have attested to, timidity. You're not confident enough to come out and speak in the public, maybe because of, as Mr. Austin had mentioned earlier, because of childhood experiences where the parents don't give enough attention to their children, do not allow them to voice themselves, voice out their opinions and all that. It makes them look, feel inconfident. They don't have confidence in themselves. And when you see that, it is an evidence that definitely this person has been traumatized. Also, in relationship, you may find out that you see ladies who will tell you that I don't trust men. I don't trust, so I cannot go into relationships. Some will say they don't even have love. They cannot love. It is a sign that such person has been traumatized one way. And it's important to know that this female genital mutilation is a form of trauma to the female girl, to the girl child, because removing the clitoris and part of the private part steals the kind of pleasure they get from, the experiences of copulation and all that. So it's a kind of trauma they may experience. So it's an evidence, avoidance. You invite social person for an event, or you give somebody a mic and you come out and speak and he's telling you no. It's one sign. Then there's what we call hypervigilance. A situation whereby you are just too sensitive to your environment. Something has not passed. You already think it has passed. You just wake up from nowhere and you think you are suspecting, something is about to happen. You are just overly sensitive about your environment. You are sleeping, your sleep is not deep. People just walk around and the next thing you are up. Some panic attacks and everything. This can also be part of what some of the people you have having high blood pressure, distress kind of reactions to their system. So it's an evidence that there is some level of trauma has taken place in this person's life. Okay. There's also what we call emotional dysregulation. When you address issues, you get more emotional than what is normal. Okay. Your reaction to situations is just too emotional or not even emotional in any way. You understand? By dysregulation means it's either too much or not up to. Okay. So these are the very few signs you can see people exhibit that will tell you that no, something traumatic must have taken place in this person's life. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Oseke. You have done justice to this session. Yes, that's lovely, students. Thank you so much for this laudable appreciation. And I have heard that you have a question.
So with all you have said, does it mean that one has to pass through experiences and experience trauma, either psychological or physical, before one can excel or find a purpose in life?
Is an experience, but that does not define. Remember what Mr. Austin said that your experience does not can speak about you, but does not define you. Okay? Sometimes the terrible experiences you have in life gives you an unfair advantage over somebody else. I just want to give you this simple analogy. Somebody who has been familiar with handling fire against his own wish. You understand? Now, the person gets traumatized in that situation. It's a painful experience, never wants it, but wasn't a very good experience, but had to endure. Okay? Now, in future, there's a situation whereby there are people who will be needing to handle fire and all that. And you now pair him with somebody who has never had such kind of trauma in life. Definitely, you know that this person is going to do better when it comes to handling fire, even though it was against his wish. So you cannot prove, because we have to be sincere in our presentation, you cannot prove that somebody who has never had experience with, traumatic fire experience will do better in handling fire than the person who has had it. And that is what life is about. Life brings a lot of challenges, a whole lot of challenges. Let's take, for instance, we've seen videos of people who are defecting out of this country for greener pastures. Eventually, they find themselves in sea. Maybe their boat drowned. Now, tell me, whoever knows how to swim at that point, you want to tell me that it's not an advantage for that person? Okay? But that's not to say who never had that experience cannot excel in life. And that is why we have our parents trying to make us go through very sound educational system, go to very good schools, and let very experienced people, train, our students so that they can still be great in life, which is quite very possible. So I hope you understand. So if you do not go through traumatic experience, it means you have to be very disciplined, okay, and very purposeful in life and be motivated, strong enough to be successful. And that is where knowledge is important. That's where awareness comes in, okay? And that's where you require people to guide you. You require mentorship and all that. So do not misunderstand me, okay? You can still be successful even without going through traumatic experience. But those who go through traumatic experience, sometimes they're the ones that motivate themselves and become very successful in life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I am happy we gave you a listening ear. Please, a student of Sylver College, Stone College, Lagos, we really appreciate your participation. I see another child with a mic. You have a minute.
What of a person that goes through beating trauma and the person from a poor background? How can the person get back up after that?
Please, the question again, I didn't get that.
A person that goes through a trauma where his father or his mother beats him up and the person is from a poor background, how can a person come back from such trauma?
I wouldn't know. Should I go ahead, or some other speakers will want to address this?
I would really love either Austin or Okon to answer that, or Hauwa. Thank you so much, Doctor, for your time. We really appreciate.
Okay.
Okay, Okon,
Since I talked about this young boy that was beaten is so
exactly.
Good. So don't forget, story of life is self. And remember, kids, I told you that trauma can explain what you've been through, but should never define you. Okay? So that child that was beaten and is from a poor background, it is not his making. It's not his doing. One thing we don't choose in life is our family. You come into the world, you don't know anybody, and they say, this is mommy, this is daddy. But you don't know what they were dealing with, And sometimes it's just transfer of aggression. But as he grows and he becomes a man, he should not allow those negative experiences to define him. See you, for instance, now you are in school, you are learning, you're trying to be better, people in society. You understand what it means to, love your classmates. You understand what it means to collaborate, create healthy relationships. That's very important. So that child who is from a poor background and was been beaten by either mommy or daddy or whoever is traumatized, he needs good friends like you. He needs someone like me. He needs OTVI. He needs Dr. Austin. He needs, people in the society that will tell him, look, we understand that this has happened to you, but we still think you have a great future. We love you. We appreciate you for coming to talk to us about this. And then they can now find a way that they can help the child if that beating is going to put the child's life in danger. So we need to now find a way to take that child out of that abusive environment. But most importantly, when that child grows up, what all this love and care and empathy should do is not let that child become someone terrible in society, but transform himself or herself into better persons, because now people around them have helped him or her to deal with the trauma.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Austin Okon. Thank you for your time. Thank you, our wonderful audience. Thank you, students of Safirstone College, for your participation and making this session very interactive. Thank you, our wonderful audience. We've seen your messages, we've seen your chats, and we are going to respond to you, especially those who are asking if we have a mental health psychologist. We have the best. Get in touch with us, send us a message, and we will connect you. This is why we are here, right? It's not just to talk about trauma and get you educated. No, we are also here to bridge this gap. So don't be shy, don't give in. Just send us a message, send an email, send a simple text to that number, and you will be connected appropriately until we have our established trauma care center within the state. For now, we can keep interacting like this and things will get better. Father Stephen, please, you have the mic. Give us your closing remarks.
Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to thank Austin, Hauwa,
Evaurhere.
yeah, Ogo what?
Evaurhere.
Evaurhere, yes. I'd like to thank Sapphire School and all the participants, all our guests for today's event. Thank you sincerely for making this year's World Trauma Day a success by our active participation. Hopefully, we shall have all these conversations on our website and online. For those who are unable to join, they can find time to participate. We are grateful to the management, the staff of Sapphire School for their active role. Please, let's do this again, God willing, next year. And then, of course, for the meantime, we shall also be having our monthly online session. So thank you very much for your active participation. We are so grateful that you did this. And for those who are Christians, may Almighty God bless you. For those who are Muslims, may Almighty Allah bless you. Somebody like Hauwa is both Christian and Muslim. So may Almighty Jesus and Almighty Allah bless you at the same time. So Hauwa is going to have plenty of double blessing from all of us. So thank you. Thank you very much for having a date with us. We are so grateful, and see you next time. Have a wonderful time.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Yeah.